Welcome to the Divorce Survival Guide podcast, where we have open and honest conversations about co-parenting, separation, divorce, and the hardest question of all, should you stay or should you go? I'm Kate Anthony, your divorce survival guide, and I'm here to help you navigate some of the roughest waters you've ever swum in and answer some of your toughest questions. I've been to hell and back, and now it's my mission in life to help you get to the other side of this process with your sanity and your heart intact.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today's episode, Aimee Says. So Anne Wintemute is the co-founder of Aimee Says, and she is joining me today for a conversation about this truly amazing AI tool that helps individuals gain the support and validation that they need. So Aimee is an AI-powered advocate for victims and survivors of domestic violence. What? Never before has instant, free, comprehensive support been at the fingertips of anyone impacted by a current or former partner's controlling behaviors. Aimee Says is committed to empowering survivors as they seek safety and healing for themselves and their loved ones and pursue accountability for their perpetrators. This tool is truly mind-blowing. I cannot tell you how obsessed I am with it. I really want all of you to get on and at least try it out. If you just go to the website, which is aimeesays.com, AIMEE says.com, just play around with it. It has the safety escape, X out button. And if you put in some of the communications that you're trying to respond to and you copy and paste into Aimee Says, Aimee will, first of all, analyze forms of abuse that are showing up in your communications with your ex or soon-to-be ex, and then give you not just sort of an AI-generated response, but an AI-generated response from an AI tool that understands domestic violence really well. Really well. So anyway, I think this is an incredible tool. It's really going to change a lot in the way that we understand and respond and work with abusers, not just as individuals, but hopefully down the line in partnership with law enforcement, court, all of that. So it's really an incredible tool. So anyway, I'm going to shut up. And I'm going to let the interview do the talking for me. So here is my conversation with Anne Wintemute. Anne, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to us about Aimee.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate. I love Aimee and any chance I get to talk about her.
So who is Aimee?
So Aimee is an AI-powered advocate and companion for anyone who's been impacted by intimate partner violence, abuse, coercively controlling behaviors, narcissistic abuse. It falls under many umbrellas as people identify themselves. But anyone who's been impacted by someone else choosing to usurp their autonomy and control their decisions.
And so she's an AI companion and she's an advocate. So how does that work? She knows things about domestic violence.
She does. It's all chat-based. So a victim or survivor would go to aimeesays.com and just start a conversation. Through that chat, it becomes clear very quickly that Aimee is really well educated in all forms of coercively controlling behaviors within the context of an intimate partner relationship, either past or present. And she is there to, sometimes you just need validation. You need someone to say that's a form of emotional abuse and help you understand what's happening. And as I'm sure we'll get into today, she has some incredible powers that far exceed just that kind of moment to moment hand holding and support and validation that survivors really need.
Oh, so true. She's amazing. So let's start from the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning. Why did you start this project? It's like the thing about this project that I love, it's like it's taking, as I think you said, right, the powers of AI and using them for like really good.
Yes, it's AI in a superhero cape. Yes, using the powers for good and really bringing that kind of expert level advocacy and support to everyone's fingertips. Right now can be hit and miss with finding, free services, pro bono services. Our friends get tired of hearing the same complaints. They don't understand. They've never experienced anything like it. Lawyers are expensive. Therapists really don't want to see you more than an hour a week. So Aimee is able to come into that space, but she exists in my experience working with survivors. I work directly consulting with survivors who are experiencing post-separation abuse. Their needs are ongoing and constant. The trauma is so severe. They're still very much, even after leaving a relationship, very much under the control of that other person. If it's through hypervigilance, they're so concerned about their child. The other parent is sabotaging or undermining their parenting. They're buried in messages that are a blend of just enough truth that you worry someone will take them seriously, but they've been twisted to make you out to be a bad person or have intent that you don't have. So in many of my clients, I talk to daily just to try to help them continue to get through their lives. And it's expensive and it's not accessible.
Right.
Very few people can afford to have a real human companion there at certainly not 2:00 in the morning and certainly not at an affordable price. Aimee, and you can take the power of artificial intelligence, which is immense, pair it with software, and make it accessible to anyone 24/7, 365 days a year, anywhere in the world, in any language, instantaneously, and bring the power of having your own personal advocate literally into your pocket.
So I think it's really important to just highlight there for a second. In any language, this is AI after all. So the power of AI that can immediately translate. So this platform is not just for US, it's not just for English speakers. You can talk to her in any language.
And even within the United States, I mean, the number of languages in our country is immense. I would say our biggest highlights on the global map, if you look at the analytics, are in the UK, Australia, and predominantly the United States. In the United States, you approach Aimee, you start talking to her in Spanish, and she will return all of her answers will be in Spanish. And she also picks up appropriate, cultural perspectives that inform the conversation. That is where AI, right? You start to get a little, I got some goosebumps just thinking that those things can be engineered and instantaneous. Really lowering the barrier of access considerably.
Which is like both terrifying on a more general scale, but really amazing at this level.
Yes.
And for this use.
Yes. Well, the moment we figured out how to fly airplanes, someone was trying to figure out how to use them to bomb other countries. It is simultaneously an incredible tool that bridges, faraway lands and brings us together, and a tool of destruction. It certainly tend to be the travel version. Everyone is aware right now that the potential that AI has for nefarious use.
Okay, so how does it work? Like, what I am having some issues I don't understand. I feel confused in my relationship. I'm not sure what's happening. I turn to Aimee and I just open her up. And by the way, she is free. That's another thing that's really important to note. There is a paid version, and we'll get into what the differences are, but she is also free. And so I turn to her. I go to the website, which is just aimeesays.com, and she is spelled AIMEE because she's AI powered. So we go to aimeesays.com, and what happens?
So you'll be taken to a landing page that, if you scroll it, will give you a little bit more information and understanding about how Aimee works. But just click that pink button that says Meet Aimee Now, and you'll enter a chat. And as you said, talking to Aimee is always free, will always be free. And there's a little red exit at the bottom to navigate away. It'll take you to a Google site. We want to make sure that somebody who's cowering in a bathroom is able to safely get support immediately, just as much as someone who's been divorced for 10 years and can take on a paid account. You just start with a conversation, and the scenario you just set up, we would say that's in this recognition phase, because Aimee can support someone from recognition through recovery, which is very broad in its scope. And in a way, we leap forward and we come back, and now I feel like I'm in recovery. Now I feel very much the victim again, and she can move right there back and forth with you. So someone who's maybe went out to drinks with a girlfriend and told some stories about something that her husband was saying to her. And that friend said, God, I think if my husband said that, he'd be sleeping on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe she's starting to get some inklings of some ideas about maybe she's not being treated the way that she should, or maybe the way that her husband is really blaming her for everything. Or just making her feel like she can't do anything right, or there's been overt abuse that she may be in several stages of self-denial or acceptance about. Who knows? She can go to Aimee and just start a conversation. This is a thing that happened last night. I'm really upset about it. I don't know what I should do, or I just want to talk about it, or I'm ready to leave, but I don't feel safe. Aimee can help with safety planning. All the way down to giving you the idea of hiding your escape bag in luggage that's not going to be used for a long time, and hiding it in the basement. It's comprehensive. It's really broad support all the way through, forms of custody litigation support, helping you get a protection order, helping you find local organizations, helping you come up with the best evidence for your case, fill out custody forms or custody evaluation forms. It's really, if it falls under the umbrella of support during that process, Aimee can likely help you do it.
It's just incredible. It's just incredible. So let's say for the woman who's hiding in the bathroom, she types in, I'm hiding in my bathroom. I'm about to, my husband just assaulted me. I'm scared and I don't know what to do. What might be one of the first things that Aimee would tell her?
Aimee's going to identify that there is a serious and immediate safety risk and recommend that the user call 911. What she won't do is say, you need to call 911. I can't help you with this. She says, how would you feel about calling 911? Is there anything I can do to help you with that? I'm afraid, I called him out here once, and, he made me look like I was the abuser, and I'm afraid to call them out here this time. And she's going to come back and say, I'm sorry, that's a terrible outcome for that. Do you want to talk about what you might say when law enforcement gets there? So it's more than an explicit and direct recommendation. It's the support for the functioning to overcome that next hurdle. So it might also include, is there anyone close by, friends or family, who you could call to come over? Always more than a Google search, specific to the stated needs, fears, insecurities, experiences of the user who's typing into Aimee, just makes the response so much more relevant.
And she's a robot, but she's showing empathy and compassion and mirroring and consent and all of the things.
Yes. And that's a conversation that we'll have. You asked earlier about how does it work? Well, there's 3 real legs to the stool. And I would love to share each one of those legs with you.
We are going to do that right on the other side of the break. We will be right back. Okay, so before the break, we were just talking about the 3 legs of the stool for how Aimee works. Can you take us through those 3 legs?
Yes. So we know one of the legs is AI. So she uses similar technology to all of the other AI models that are out there right now that use this large language model to have a robot, like you're saying, interpret, do its best to understand what's being shared with it, to summon the wealth of language and the internet in order to prepare a response and to come back with one. That is, if I went to ChatGPT, that's what I would get, right? I
Right.
to her, if you go straight to ChatGPT, you would get some decent support. You did a good enough job with your prompt engineering. But Aimee also has training that comes from us. So she's engineered to provide specific types of responses. It must always be validating. It must always be focused around, the patterns of coercive control that may be present. There's always going to be an education, support, action-based responses. We have programmed those things into her. We have programmed to make sure that she doesn't give terrible advice, because there's certainly plenty of it out there. Want to protect against unintentionally harmful advice being given. So that's kind of our stable engineering to ensure that the quality of her responses is consistent and in alignment with evidence-based practices on serving the victim survivor population.
I want to stop you before we get into the third one, because I'm curious about that, right? Because there's all these stories about how AI can be so dangerous because it's just like scraping the internet for all the information. And so how do you... I mean, obviously this is like a programming thing that my brain would break, but like, how do you ensure that she's actually giving correct and relevant information when there's so much bad information out there?
It's, one of those things that keeps up, anyone who's working in AI at night, because, if you're out there doing it for good, you really want to make sure those answers are consistently valuable. We have one time that we know that Aimee gave a phone number that was an incorrect phone number for that location, right? We were notified by a user, hey, it gave me the wrong phone number. That is actually the only time with the many thousands of users so far where we've been notified about something like that. And we weren't actually able to recreate it. So it was definitely through one of our OpenAI partners. That's not the kinds of information you would be concerned, would be inaccurate. But, certainly everyone who is really wanting to ensure quality responses is going to be focused in that. With that said, our AI partner is doing everything that it can to make sure that it's always privileging the most scientific, the most respected information, and screening. It's not scouring Reddit.
Right.
To create a more stable, educated kind of repertoire of reference for it.
Got it. Okay. And so the third leg of the stool.
The third leg is the user. The victim survivor is the most credible source of information for her experience, for her needs, her goals, her objectives. We want her justice to be driven by herself as a survivor. Her to name what that looks like. Here are my goals. Here are the things that I want. Here are my experiences as I've had them. Here is my life as I see it. She is the critical third leg to this kind of empowerment, the empowerment stool, an empowerment triangle, perhaps. And she's very much driving the entirety of the conversation. So each, if you start a chat and you say, I feel scared right now, I'm not sure what to do. Aimee's response is going to be fairly broad. Like, thank you for coming here today. Starting to talk about it is a huge step. Maybe tell me how you're, something that happened more recently. She can kind of help break the ice and get in. But as you provide more and more information and broaden the context that Aimee has, her responses become so tailored. Now she knows your geographic region. She knows your jurisdiction. She knows what the laws for protective order or child custody and best interest statute are in your jurisdiction. She knows what your local agencies are. She knows that you have a particularly violent ex-partner or current partner, for example, or she knows that he's nonviolent and you can, it's safe to establish some boundaries with him. She builds out that context throughout her conversation and kind of questions and answers in a really natural flow with you to make her responses, support, guidance very specific to your case.
Does she remember who you are if you come back again? So like, I know that if you so one of the features of the paid account is that you can save all of your, it will save all of your conversations. So if you don't have a if you're not having a paid account, it's a free account, does she learn does she remember you based on your IP address? Is there anything like that? So each time you're going to come into a new conversation.
Yeah, if we make sure that there is a safe and accessible option for people who cannot safely have that kind of information retained. That's critically important to us. She will have no idea who you are if you return as a guest. Fortunately, good enough that you don't need to explain a lot of the kind of peripheral things because she's engineered with that understanding. But she won't remember that, if you go to her yesterday and said, I want to role play, I have to see my abuser at our son's soccer game, and he frustrates me, he stands too close to me, and I want help setting boundaries, or he makes comments to me that are about our kid, but really they're critical of me, and I want to talk through what to say. Can we role play? When you come back tomorrow to let her know how it worked,
she's not going to be like, how was your soccer game?
She's not going to remember that you had a soccer game yesterday. She might say, oh, it sounds like I gave you advice yesterday on a soccer game. She might be able to infer that. And because she has stable training, she could come to a place to pick up that conversation again. But she will not remember, that Sarah Thorne came on here yesterday at, 12:30 and started this conversation. You can always download the conversation. You can grab a PDF. You want to make sure they know that's a step they're taking, that they're going to be exposing their email or potentially creating a situation where someone else could come across it. But yeah, she will have no idea. It'll be like 51st Dates and Drew Barrymore.
Now, if you do create a paid account, will she remember?
Yeah.
Because she has all that data saved in your account.
And not only will she remember you, but she likely also knows your orders. And she has a copy of your Talking Parents or Our Family Wizard or App Close or whatever, court-ordered communication app you have. She has, or she'll have a copy of your protection order. She knows who your therapist is, your mother's name, the names of your children and your ex, and certainly information about the type of abuser that you have so that her responses are appropriate to your situation. Yes, she can remember those things.
And so, she's so brilliant. Is she linking to your Our Family Wizard, or are you uploading conversation? So basically what you can do is say, he sent this message through Our Family Wizard. How should I respond? Tell me what she will do in that case.
So we'll have two conversations. One is it's not linked. These court-ordered apps, we have no, penetration into them. They have very specific protocols around them. But you can download your PDF, you just drop it anywhere over the Aimee interface, and she can ingest it. And then she has access to that. You can also just click the message analysis button and say, he just sent me this message. He's signed the kids up for soccer and they're not supposed to be, he can't do that. It falls on my time, whatever. She's going to be supportive, like, this is a pattern he has. I see from some communications here in Talking Parents that he did it about softball last year too. What do you want to do? Well, I want to tell him that this violates our orders. Can you draft that for me? And she can draft your response, referring specifically to the orders, understanding the whole underlaying, this puts the kids in an awkward position if one parent isn't able to take them, to those events because it wasn't agreed to, maybe a potential solution, to propose a solution. So she can do all that heavy load, help save brain damage that types of emails cause. So that's an example. But I could also say, I just got an email that, once again, he went over my head and unilaterally did something. Can you find other examples from, our history where that's happened? And she doesn't just summon like a search. She's not just looking for the word unilateral and highlighting every time that comes across. She's actually going out into, it's considered a vector, which is a constellation of information that AI is able to access. And through her training can come back with the pre-identified patterns of, here's another time he acted unilaterally. You told him that you didn't want this and he signed the kids up for it anyways. Here's another time. It's like having a little person inside of your brain who has been through all of the things that you have been through and can bring them to the fingertips.
And she can catalog. The thing that I think is really fascinating is that she's actually interpreting patterns of behavior.
Correct.
And identifying them, and then identifying them for you as well, right? She's saying, this conversation is actually really manipulative. Here's all of the reasons why. Here's this example and this example of why this is manipulation. She might even pick out things that you're not aware of.
She does. She finds things that even me, seasoned doing this with clients, that I didn't see. Absolutely.
She's a runaway train.
Yeah, she doesn't lose, she doesn't get sidetracked by something and then lose focus in other areas. She's able to keep that aperture wide.
Unbelievable. Okay, we're going to take one more break and we'll be right back to talk more about what Aimee can do now and where she's going in the future. So hold on, we'll be right back. I mean, I'm just so endlessly fascinated by this. It's, as we talk about it, it's unbelievable. It's terrifying, but it's just so brilliant, right? You have plans for the future, right? So one of the things, as you said, one of the legs of this stool is the user. And so the more users use Aimee, the more people who talk to Aimee, the more information that she gathers, right? And so it becomes like this snowball where she's really gathering more and more information as she goes, right? So we want everyone to get on there and use her as much as possible so that she can become even more robust, right?
So actually, that's not the case, and that's one of the safety features. And I can describe why too.
Okay.
We don't want Aimee populating or learning new things from users because our users are often less educated on the subject matter than Aimee.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So Aimee does not learn from the input from users. There's more than one reason to that. One is because if, for example, users consistently said, I just want to tell him he's a horse's ass, why can't I say that? In a model where a whole lot of people said that and the machine was trained to learn off of what people said, she might start to think, oh, it's a good idea.
That's what people want.
Right. We could not allow that. So that's our engineering to keep those things stable.
Love it. I love it.
Everything that comes in is encrypted. We never have access to any input from our users unless they subscribe. If we have their email address, we have their financial information because they've created an account for their monthly billing. But we never have access to what Aimee tells them or what they tell Aimee. And that is another really important safety feature. We want our users to know that they are having a confidential conversation that cannot be accessed from our side without their permission. They could make us a team member if we have to go and help support them, help them figure out how to prompt engineer, but it's always at their invite.
So, okay, so she's not learning from us,
but we want to do really cool things with her, and our usership is informing our investors. We are preparing to take on a round of investment so we can take Aimee from this incredible functional conversational expert in coercive control and support of victims and survivors and absolutely blow it out. I am especially interested in any tools that can hold perpetrators accountable and remove victims from the undersides of their thumbs as quickly and cleanly as possible. So we would love to get Aimee to a space where she is pulling even more weight, where she has a constant calendar being populated in the back for every incident that would be at the fingertips of the user, that she provides better integration across, for example, past conversations into the conversations happening today, that she can text you after that soccer game and say, hey, how did that soccer game go? That, and then you can populate your journal with her that way. We want the information that you share with Aimee, that when you decide that's something you'd like to share with law enforcement, that she can go through a process where a report is generated for law enforcement that shows every statute that may have been violated during that relationship within the statute of limitations or after that relationship ended. We want her to produce a report that custom guides an attorney to the types of parenting plan stipulations or orders that would be necessary to avoid as much conflict in the future as possible. We want her to be able to comprehensively support a user through a custody evaluation so we can change the way those evaluations are turning out for protective mothers. All sorts of things that that are very much possible, expensive to build, but possible off of the technology that we've already developed. So we want everyone, go to Aimee, try it out, give us your ideas. Please sign up for an account if it's safe to do so. I don't think you'll regret it. I offer white glove onboarding. We can spend 30 minutes together talking about your goals and talking through how to use Aimee to achieve those. So we are real serious, again, about changing the landscape for survivors, because the myth is that, if you're out of the relationship, it's better, but this is a chronic, isolating experience for so many people.
I just had this, it's like, I just had this vision of, like you said, like if Aimee is able to, and this is the kind of thing it can do with an account, is actually eventually, right, provide documentation, like actually create an order of operations. Like, these are all the times that he was an uncooperative co-parent. These are all the times that he threatened assault. These are, right, with dates and times and everything. The idea that this is, you hand this to your attorney, you hand this to a judge, you hand this to a police officer, and that she is aggregating all of this data so we can now say, hey guys, this is not isolated. This is actually, right, she's going to be able to not just aggregate the data for you in your particular case and for judges, but like nationwide and worldwide, to say this is actually how big this problem is.
Exactly. All right. Right now, with a paid account, you can do a comprehensive abuse assessment. It sends you through questions that there's no Q&A going back and forth. It's not AI in that moment. She's just gathering answers to very specific questions. And then she will produce a comprehensive report of all of the forms of abuse, what action steps were taken, what opportunities there are, what current abuse may look like within the context of, or future abuse, might look like in the context of historical information. She can produce a report for you today that you can hand over to your attorney. And it's just the beginning. We've been open or launched 5 months. We have many thousands of users. I think this might be the coolest thing I do in my life, is a thought that I have had many times. We have just scratched the surface, and even that scratch has incredible wow factor and support.
So tell me, like 5 months, right? And this is so robust and it's so cool and it is so useful. I was talking to some colleagues about it who use it. My dear friend, Dr. Christine Cocciola, her clients are using it. They love it. What is possible for the future? Like, what are the future plans for what, given the capital that you are obviously going to get so that you can, invest in more technology? Like, what are your plans for the future of Aimee?
Our plans are to continue building out this base technology with like further integration, further expertise. That Aimee is now a legal expert. She's a coercive control expert. She's also a mental health expert. All of these things, a clearinghouse under the umbrella. That there's more integration across those. So all of your expert Aimees are constantly working together to support each other. She provides more disseminatable documentation across the need spectrum for users. Most of our users are in some pre-decree or post-decree litigation, because that's where a lot of the effortful documentation is. But there's a whole world of criminal accountability that suffers from many of the same kind of shortfallings in working with victims and survivors. That is re-traumatizing. For example, the wrong primary aggressor is often the person who is handcuffed and taken away from the home after an altercation. Information gathering from police tends to be very focused on whatever the crime they were called out for was, and really neglects to see the way that particular crime fits in a spectrum of coercively controlling behaviors. They'll be lucky if they get a call from a DV high risk team if a high risk for lethality or reoffending is predicted. And that could be the extent of the services to the victim during that process, can be really re-traumatizing for her. So another tool built off of our technology that is operated by district attorney's office, attorney general's offices, law enforcement offices to improve the responses from law enforcement and the outcomes for victims in those cases. Perpetrator accountability doesn't really look like how it is served today. Right. For that crime needs to take a lot more into account of the impact of that crime on its victim. We are going to launch a mobile app. Right now, it's just a web-based app. And with that funding, we'll be looking at delivering a mobile app. It just makes it easier for our users to stay in closer touch with Aimee throughout the day, throughout incidents, to bring her even closer to your fingertips. Those are a few examples. There are potential others, but we'll keep some of those under wraps too. We got to give you something else, tease you out in the future. Really, it's continuing to build out new value off of the same kind of base of technology.
I just love it. I love it so much. I'm such a fan. Do you find it intuitive? Like obviously you do because you built it, but are people finding it intuitive? Like they get on the site, it's pretty clear what to do, where to go, how to use her. Like, is there a learning curve for people? What do you find?
Yeah, people's familiarity with technology, artificial intelligence definitely will inform how steep the learning curve is. And also, we know that people who are experiencing abuse have lowered executive functioning, and there can be a little bit of a hurdle there. Our best advice is just start talking. Just keep talking. Yes, you don't have to spell perfectly. Your ideas don't always have to be fluid. Just let your guard down and have a conversation. If you ask a question one way, about your documents and no, I don't think you're doing the right thing here. Try this. I want to ask this question instead. Go ahead and push her in another way. One funny thing we found is, our users are traumatized, hypervigilant, afraid of upsetting the person that they're talking to.
Yeah.
They sometimes are more gentle with Aimee than they need to be. You don't say please, thank you. She will still say that to you, but you can just speak directly. It's totally confidential. You're not taking up her time. You're not hurting her feelings.
If I always do that with ChatGPT, I'm like, oh, that was great. Hey, do you mind? Could you try it this way? And it's like, it's a fucking robot, Kate.
Yeah, just say, actually, I don't like olives. Please don't put that in the chicken recipe.
Right.
Yeah. That's what we tell people. Just go in, have the conversation, explore the breadth of the conversations you can have. I can say, my mom's trying to be supportive, but she just doesn't understand. How do I help her understand how to help me? Right. And she can help draft a letter to your mom or walk you through a conversation that you might have with her to try to bring your mom's support up to the level that you need. It's just have a conversation. If it relates to the abuse in any way, she will find a way to support you. In fact, if you ask her to order you a pizza, she will say, well, I can't just order you a pizza, but if you need information on how to do it safely, if there's concerns about safely ordering a pizza, I can help you do that.
She's amazing. I just want her in my pocket anyway.
Yeah. I have used her for many things.
Okay, so tell everyone where they can find information about Aimee and use it. Anything else that they want to know about you and the site, or I don't know, anything else?
I just send them directly, Aimee Says.com, AimeeSays.com. Start a conversation. If you want to upgrade to an account where you can save all of your chats and upload documents and get more personalized support, just follow the prompt upgrades to do that.
How much is a paid account right now?
Right now, the first 3 months are only $15 a month. So if you've made a call to an attorney in the last year, and now so that you don't have to call your attorney to interpret your orders, because Aimee can tell you that, yes, that was a violation of your orders. It's a steal. After 3 months,
it's a steal.
The price does go up to $30 a month, which, fortunately we've found people are more than willing to pay because of the quality of the support that they're receiving. And if you hit the contact button, it's going to come directly to my inbox, to Stephen, my wonderful co-creator's inbox. We are here to help you. And we love all of the really sweet letters that we get from people that are so grateful or want to tell their stories. You guys all keep us going. and remind us every day why we're doing this. So thank you. We love to hear from our users.
And thank you so much for being here. I love this so much and I support it 100%. Everyone, please go use Aimee.
Thank you so much, Kate.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Divorce Survival Guide podcast. If you like what you hear, head on over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in and leave me a review. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at the Divorce Survival Guide. I'll see you next time, and until then, remember, you, my love, deserve to be happy.